Alright, what's going on, guys? Today we have a new deck, and that deck is Dreadhorde Arcanist. So this is a deck I've been tuning on stream for a while, and I felt like it was now good enough to bring to the YouTube channel. So the way I came upon this deck was I was playing a lot of Dreadhorde Arcanist, and I realized that the deck kept losing to Graveyard Hate, whether it be Soul Guide Lantern, Rest in Peace, Leyline, just having some type of graveyard interaction left me in a really bad position. Like, a lot of things like, Kroxa just wouldn't perform, and Dreadhorde Arcanist just not performing doesn't allow you to have enough win conditions. So I decided to put Death Shadow and Knight of Ebon Legion into the deck, and it fixed a lot of those problems. So post board, when people bring in Graveyard Hate, I don't automatically lose. I have a sideboard plan that involves Young Pyromancer, and then you already have the threats in Shadow and Knight of Ebon Legion. So that strategy worked, but it takes a little bit of deck building, and that deck building is around the card Death Shadow. So you have to be able to take enough damage, and the way you're able to do that is with Shatterskull Smashing, Agadeem's Awakening, and Ifnir Deadlands. So Shatterskull Smashing and Agadeem's takes 3 if you have it come in untapped, which is a good replacement for the modern Fetch Shock. We don't have Fetch Shocks in this format, so you need to be able to take 3 damage. So it closely resembles what happens in modern. The other way you take some life is Thoughtseize and Sign in Blood. You can also use Dreadhorde Arcanist to flashback Thoughtseize, and that will accelerate your life loss. The other completely other way is, like, let's say you're playing against Gruul. They can deal a chunk of the damage because you allow them to, or they're just that fast, and Death Shadow kind of catches them off guard, and it just completely flips the race. So against aggro decks, you don't really need to take damage yourself, but against decks like Jeskai Control, it's a lot more important to be able to take the damage on your own. So yeah, in my experience, the best like turn 1 into turn 2 into turn 3 can be like Thoughtseize into Dreadhorde Arcanist into flashback that Thoughtseize, and then you can either play Shadow or Knight of Ebon Legion, and stuff like sequencing like that turns out to be the best. And that is kind of the primary reason why I chose to play 8 discard spells in the main. Moving on to the sideboard, we needed some more removal spells. We're kind of light on removal spells, but since we have the ability to reoccur them, we have the ability to deal with pretty much everything. Magma Spray helps you deal with cards like Phoenix. A Braid helps you deal with Graveyard Hate like Cage, while being a way to deal with more creatures. Witch's Vengeance is a great card against decks like Green White Company and Elves. And then you have your own Graveyard Hate for the Mare, for Phoenix, for anything that interacts with the graveyard. And then you have to have an answer to Rest in Peace or Leyline, and Feed the Swarm is the only card in these colors that allows you to do that. And then lastly, you have Young Pyromancer, which is the final piece to your Graveyard Hate problem. Yeah, so we'll be moving on to the gameplay portion next. Yeah. All right. Here we have black red, pretty solid hand. We got Shadow, we got some discard, perfect draw. Start off with the Knight of Ebon Legions. Since we may be playing against Gruul, it's not worth taking damage right up front, and we're playing against green white, so we should be able to take enough damage from them. Just in case they have company, it seems like we should just save damage for now. Save the life for now. And so we'll just go ahead and play a tap land. Take the 3, we're at 17. That's a fantastic draw. I attack, play another one, play another tap land, and pass. So if we had accelerated our damage by playing Ifnir Deadlands on turn 1, then I could have potentially grown my Knight of Ebon Legions by playing the Shatterskull Smashing as a land and taking 3, which would have meant that I take 4, so it would have grown them at a faster rate. But since I knew that there's a possibility of getting Cocoed and then outraced, and I know that I'm not going to be able to beat the flyer, I felt like it was safer to play it out by not taking a crazy amount of damage. And so we could play the Shadow here, but we decided to play the Kroxa because they take 3 because we know about the land, and that will grow our Knight of Ebon Legions. So now they're kind of in a weird spot where if they attack, they enable our Shadow a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, that ends up working out fine because we just attack here. We threaten to pump, which means that they're not going to block with their 5/5. Now we go ahead and play our Shadow. We're in a relatively good spot because even if they were to draw a Skyclave Apparition, they can't kill us this turn. So board out some of the graveyard stuff for non-graveyard stuff. It's really important to bring in the young Peasies, board out the claims because you don't want to be too reliant on the graveyard because you expect Rest in Peace and a bunch of Scoozes to be in. And we take a look at this hand. We're on the draw. Don't have a black source, like immediate black source. It's going to take some time to set it up, but we have removal and we have discard. So we'll start off with the Faithless Looting, see what our options are. Extra Shadow, extra discard. It's an easy Bloodthirst. And yeah, they played a Tapland into a Thraben Inspector. That doesn't really do anything. That was a great draw. We just go ahead and take our immediate value. Taking the Coco puts us in a pretty great spot. They Skyclave Apparition. We're still in a really good spot because we don't mind taking the damage right now. And now we can make them discard and set up our Dreadhorde Arcanist. We're going to go ahead and play the land because we're always going to have something to do with our mana. Whether it be bringing back Lurrus or flashback looting. And they played Archon, which is really problematic. So we are down to spend our turn to get rid of that card. Unfortunately, we're gonna lose the Dreadhorde Arcanist, but since we drew another one, it's not that big of a deal. And we actually just want to enable them to attack because it's gonna make our Shadow better. It's a pretty strong draw. We'll take the 3 that allows us to play the Shadow if we want, but we drew the discard, and that might be the only opportunity to get some value off of it. So this turn they're going to attack for a gajillion again, which is perfect because we have the Shadow. It's enabling it a little bit more, and this seems like a no-brainer. Save 8 points, but we end up drawing something even better. Drew a discard, but if they don't draw removal for the Shadow, it kind of just takes over. Ooh, perfect. So now our turn looks like double removal spell seems like the best way to go. So we remove the Thraben, we attack, we go ahead and remove the Lovestruck Beast, and if they want to double block, that's perfectly fine because they are just left with the Skyclave. Rest in Peace was a phenomenal draw, but Shadow, being the large body it is and not needing the graveyard, is the perfect threat to finish the job. A second Shadow. Yeah. We go ahead and attack for 6. Since we drew the second Shadow, we don't want to shrink our shadows. And they drew land, and that's game. / match. Well, thanks for watching another video. Do not forget to check out the Black Red Shadow sideboard guide in the description below, and I will see you next time.